New tonight, for the first time in a year, Gulfport's police chief and his top investigators answer key questions on the record about 5 baffling unsolved murder cases. Those murders all happened in less than 2 weeks a year ago this month. Detectives put in countless hours trying to develop suspects, but each case reached a dead end. Now they're talking exclusively with our Hugh Keeton about the unsolved crimes, hoping someone will come forward with information that could spark a new lead.
February 17th.
One of my neighbors knocked on the door. They was like, your friend got shot, your friend got shot.
Demetrius Blakely is found shot to death on the side of the road. A week later, Frederick Plummer is attacked and killed with a machete in a homeless camp.
It was pop, 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 pop real fast.
Maxwell Phillips and 18-year-old Brooklyn Alsobrook are gunned down.
Tonight, Gulfport police are investigating the 5th homicide in the city in the last month.
Eric Harris, fatally shot in a shed, was the 5th person to be killed in a 13-day span. Following each of the murders, Gulfport police went into action.
I was thinking y'all were going to beat the brakes off of us if we don't solve them in an hour like on TV.
Detectives investigated each case, each lead, and every tip. But a year later, none of the people responsible for the 5 deaths are behind bars. Donica Lewis says Demetrius Blakely was supposed to cook for her daughter's birthday party, but he didn't get the chance. Just around the corner from Lewis's apartment, Blakely was discovered shot to death near the corner of 43rd Avenue and 11th Street.
He was a good person, and I just don't understand why did they do that to him.
Investigators haven't named a suspect in Blakely's death and are still looking for leads.
He lived nearby, had family nearby, and they really gave us no indication as to why someone would do this to him.
The picture of what happened to Frederick Plummer just a block off Highway 49 is more clear. The U.S. Marshals are actively searching for Eli Medina, who witnesses said attacked Plummer with a machete following an argument. Leila Lozana was arrested in Texas earlier this year and charged with accessory after the fact in Plummer's murder. Gulfport Police Lieutenant Samuel Jewell says Medina and Lozana were on the run together. Now with Lozana in custody, authorities believe they are closer to locating Medina.
Any information that she provided as to their movements after the crime was passed on to the U.S. Marshals Service in the hopes that it may assist them.
If arrested, Medina would face first-degree murder charges. Within sight of Central Elementary School, across Pass Road, multiple gunshots were fired at this duplex. When police arrived, they found Maxwell Phillips dead in the yard. Brooklyn Alsobrook dead inside.
We believe this one was intentional, that whoever went there to hurt these people, or at least one.
Witnesses told police they saw 2 men running from the scene, but no other description of the possible suspects has been provided. Eric Harris lost his life to a gunshot wound in a shed behind a home on 26th Street. Although a suspect has not been identified, police think Harris likely knew his killer.
When you walk into scenes like that, oftentimes you can tell there's clear signs of an altercation, and there were none there.
Even though 5 people were killed in less than 2 weeks in these locations, separated by just 3 miles, Chief Leonard Papania says there's no indications the crimes are connected, and the evidence points to each being isolated incidents.
Certainly anybody that's willing to kill another human being is always somebody to worry about. Do I think we have murderers out there that are going to randomly attack people? No, nothing from any of these lead me to believe that.
People who know information about each crime are needed to come forward, but Papania says getting information concerning deadly incidents can be challenging.
There's some times where the activities that preceded the death were such that people don't want to reveal that to law enforcement. And not necessarily that they were a cause or a part of the death, but they were participating in things they just don't want law enforcement to know.
Although the murder cases are a year old, Papania and his department aren't giving up on their hunt for a break in each case.
The reality is we have to work with what we're given, and we have to do it in a manner that it'll stand the test of a courtroom.
Police are asking for any information about the circumstances surrounding the deaths of these 5 victims. Tomorrow night, we'll dig deeper into the murder of 18-year-old Brooklyn Alsobrook and hear from her family on their quest for justice.
A year later, the search for justice continues after a string of deadly days in Gulfport, which resulted in 5 people being killed over a period of less than 2 weeks. Tonight, our Hugh Keeton digs deeper into one of the deadly incidents that claimed a pair of lives.
These are the faces of the 5 homicide victims. The people responsible for each of their murders are still on the streets tonight. And for the family of 18-year-old Brooklyn Alsobrook, the 1-year anniversary of her death is a painful reminder of who they've lost and the closure they've yet to receive. Brooklyn Alsobrook was in the prime of her life. We talked on a video call with her mother, Amber Danford, and other family members in Texas, and they spoke of her glowing personality and sense of style.
She always had to look good. She always had to look nice.
The family believed Brooklyn had plans to make her way back to Texas, where she grew up. But on the rainy night of February 27, 2019, Brooklyn's life was taken. Police received reports of multiple gunshots at a duplex right off Pass Road. Brooklyn was found shot and killed inside. Maxwell Phillips was dead in the yard. The crime had an element of complication from the beginning.
Our first reaction was that we needed to control the scene as best we could due to the weather and not lose any potential evidence that was on the ground.
2 men were seen by witnesses fleeing the scene, but now a year later, police are still looking for other leads.
As time passes, distance is created between people and evidence, and that becomes a greater challenge for us.
Detective Sergeant Clay Fulks is leading the investigation. He says it appeared Brooklyn and Phillips were ambushed by someone who wanted to cause harm.
I think this was someone that likely knew Miss Alsobrook and Mr. Phillips, so I don't think this was a random event.
Leading up to his death, Maxwell Phillips posted regular pictures on social media of him with large amounts of cash. In 2018, Phillips was arrested for human trafficking, and Brooklyn was named as a 17-year-old victim. If her family in Texas could go back in time, they would have a clear message for Brooklyn.
Make good choices. To do better, to change your lifestyle, get away from people that bring you down.
Following the human trafficking incident, Brooklyn went to stay with her brother William Jackson in Oklahoma.
She's my little sister. I mean, I miss her more than anything.
Jackson saw his little sister for the final time about 5 months before her death at a bus station in Oklahoma City. She was headed back to Gulfport, where her family believes she reunited with Phillips, who was out on bond. Although Jackson says he knows little about the details surrounding her death, he wants justice.
I mean, that's the first thing I pray to God every night for, is they'd find out who did it.
Brooklyn's mother reaches out to investigators for updates, always hoping for a breakthrough in the case.
What would it mean to you to find the person who's responsible?
For them to pay for what they did.
But for the killer to be brought to justice, police still need information.
It takes people willing to have the courage to come forward and share what they know. And sometimes it's people who have engaged in things they probably should not have. But when they have that courage to come forward and allow us to bring justice to it, then yeah, we can solve it.
And investigators say they do have some information on potential suspects related to Brooklyn's death, but they haven't released that information because if someone comes forward with additional details, they can match up the descriptions. Now, if you know anything about the death of Brooklyn Alsobrook or any of the other 5 unsolved murder cases, you are urged to contact Gulfport Police.